Welcome back. As we continue the conversation on the future of Nigeria, today I have an eminent voice that is pushing for that great Nigeria. I'm delighted today to welcome my brother and friend, Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, who is the spokesperson for the presidential candidate of LP, Mr. Peter Obi, and who is also a lawyer and a social commentator. Brother Ken, you're welcome to Inside Sources.
It's my pleasure seeing you again, Loud.
Good to see you again.
Thank you, viewers, for joining in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So let's start, on the normal general note that if you look at where Nigeria is today, right now, will you say that the country is on that trajectory to the great Nigeria that we all know is possible?
I've always said that Nigeria has the potential to be a superpower nation. And it will not take more than 2 decades if we do what is right and consistently do what is right to move into that superpower status. Superpower status stands on a tripod: political stability, economic viability, and a strong military force. I've researched on this for a long time. Nigeria has the potential, but unfortunately, we have not kinetized this potentiality. And unfortunately, the more, this regime has been the worst epistle to that movement. And don't take my words for it.
Right.
Take the words of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. You know what they said?
Right.
They said 40% of the manufacturing plants are going to go down. There is no government in history that has flip-flopped on policies like this government. From day one, fuel subsidy is gone. And then, in addition to it, we have a CBN who I do not understand whether they understand what they are doing. And I'm going to give you elementary facts.
Okay.
Because when you talk about the flip-flop, the worst case where it affects the manufacturing is in the forex management. The success of forex management is in its ability to ensure stability and sustainability, not whether it is high or low. The greatest threat to the economy is uncertainty. So the duty of the central bank is to ensure macroeconomic stability. But this government has foisted on the economy macroeconomic volatility. Now again, this government incompetently now started dividing Nigerians into communities, saying people on band A will now have to pay higher. Not that they are paying higher. No, they will not have to be punished for having more light. Because ordinarily, when you consume 80% and the other person is consuming 20%, ordinarily you pay higher, even if you're paying something.
Right.
So the question is not that they are paying higher. The question is that they are going to be punished for having more light, not by their own decision, by your own incompetent infrastructure decision. Do you know that this is against the law? It's illegal and unconstitutional. Section 42 is very clear. A citizen of Nigeria, of a particular community, cannot be subjected to any limitation or disability in the application of any law or administrative or executive decision to which a citizen of another community is not subjected to. So dividing Nigerians into this is community of, is it people that have light or the rich people or what? Does it mean this government does not know that everybody living in a rich neighborhood is not rich? Is it that they are not aware of it? Because some people are living in the boys' quarter of some rich people's house, and their own meter is different.
Yeah, well, they must now pay.
You must not punish them because they are now living within that community, which is illegal and unconstitutional.
Yeah. Well,
so, this is terrible. I don't understand.
Clearly, do you think Nigerians are aware as a people of their capacity to change the direction of this country if they think it is not in the right direction?
Having been an active participant to 2023, I would want to say that Nigerian people are beginning to be aware that power belongs to the people. But you see, they were deceived. They were beguiled. And not just even by the dissidents or the, corrupt class,
right,
but by what I would call that evolutionary trend. Because there has to be a precedent that you would have to rely on to take a decision.
Yeah.
What happened in 2023 was novel. This was the first time Nigerians came out and say, don't give us money. We're no longer interested. We want a new Nigeria. They identified the criteria for their new Nigeria. They saw a man that fit into it and said, this is the man we are going to follow. It has never happened before. And have you noticed that even after the election, they are not changing their mind? Before now, after the election, bandwagon effect, people will go and start looking for money or start looking for this and that.
So-called winner takes all.
Good. But now they are maintaining their stand. This is where they were beguiled. Calm down. Because some people had the feeling they may get justice from the system. They may get justice from the courts. Like what happened in Senegal. It was not just the people. The institutions helped.
Yeah.
The Constitutional Court came in and gave a judgment. So the people cannot do it alone. The only way the people can do it alone is that revolution, which may go out of hand.
Yeah.
Which may be bloody.
It often goes out of hand.
Good. And which this government and the corrupt class is pushing the people involuntarily towards that direction. Because certainly if you make peaceful change, good. So now we had a failure of the system. The courts did not do what they ought to do, in my own opinion. Because you can't go to the Court of Appeal, for instance, to ask for orders to inspect an evidence that is inevitable for your success in court. And the Court of Appeal gave the 3 orders, and the agency disobeyed all of them. Yet the Court of Appeal gave them audience to come and ask for an order to vary that order without obeying it. You know what the court, the judicial precedent is? Anytime anybody is in contempt of a court order, he does not have the right of audience before the court.
That's the normal.
That is the precedent the Supreme Court has established. You have to first and foremost obey the court order
before it can be varied.
You can't go to equity with dirty hands. You can't be asking for an order when there is a subsisting order you have not obeyed. I could go on and on. I don't know how they came out to make a ruling and then a judgment that a creature of the law has discretion to do what the law says you must do. Discretion is the exact antidote to rule of law.
Are you speaking of INEC?
The court said INEC has discretion to transmit or not to transmit. And I'm surprised they ruled it as a judgment.
But is that not what the act says? Just asking, you're a lawyer, I'm not.
Anywhere you see the word discretion in the act, then know that I am not telling you the truth. How can the way the courts did... Now, anytime you see the word may, is optional. It's discretionary.
Right.
Anytime you see the word shall, it's mandatory. INEC even made a rule to say they shall.
Yeah, of course. And I have spoken about that myself, that INEC puts itself.
Good.
How? Yeah.
Now, and then the court is saying, no, you have discretion. Now, the danger in discretion is that it's uncertain and it is crooked. Not by my word. Sir Edward Coke, he said, rule of law is a golden net wand, and discretion is uncertain and crooked. So anytime you put discretion to an agency, you will make the law uncertain and make them crooked. Look at what happened in off-cycle election. We graduated from not transmitting to now pre-filling results, because the politicians now are capitalizing on the judgment of the court that is discretionary. So if you now say, no, there is, look at IRF, this and that, the INEC will say, where is your manual result? It's discretionary.
Yeah, anyway, no, so
what I was trying to say is that the people we are beguiled. They thought that there is a level institutions cannot go below. So they were failed. And by that time, it was late. Because whatever you would do can only be very effective before the swearing in of the person. Meaning, one of the recommendations I am going to make here is that all legal procedures must end before an incumbent is sworn into office. Otherwise, you are laying the foundation for foisting a fait accompli on people if there is an institutional failure like it happened. That was why I said Nigerians have made up their mind for a new Nigeria. But certain things they did not anticipate, certain trusts they put their mind in, made them not to take that kind of radical decision which they ought to have taken if they knew beforehand. That is why if the National Assembly does not bring about genuine amendments to take care of these things, Nigerians must take their destiny in their hands and ensure that they enforce their will. It is within them to do that.
Yeah, and I think that not only do I agree with your point that it's important to settle all electoral cases before people get into office. I agree with that. But I also wanted to add that I think Nigerians have the capacity to make the National Assembly do what they want.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the areas that I'm trying to explore and see what else we need to do in terms of mobilizing the people, preparing them, letting them know that they have that option. Because really, when the Nigerian people are fully, even not fully, fairly mobilized, the political elites will get the message that they don't have a choice.
Time is up.
Now, so my next,
Now, let me comment.
Right.
Because of the experience I've had now in the system, if you watch me, you see that I am laboring hard to attack lack of internal democracy in political parties.
That's another important point.
That is the beginning. That the National Assembly, they are not doing what they are doing is because the political parties are comatose. If your constituency is not putting fire on you, you wouldn't move. The constituency of every politician is his political party. If Nigerians, and I'm saying it clearly, any party that does not have internal democracy amongst them, Nigerians should not vote for that party. You can't give what you don't have.
True.
No party can entrench democracy on the national if they don't have it internal.
Yeah.
That was why we've not had democracy flourishing in Nigeria. From the PDP to the APC, see the caricature that is going on. If you want to, a national chairman that that has all this baggage, you knew it. It's not as if he became a national chairman and had the baggage. There is no party that has genuine internal democracy that can trump up such a man as chairman. It's not possible. Because the forces of internal democracy will bring him down. Because when you allow fair contest It is your opponent that will bring out the reasons why this man cannot be trusted with power.
And then a fair
atmosphere of contest
will resolve it.
Will resolve it. So when you reconcile that internal democracy within political parties, they will be trumping up the best. Remember, we don't have independent candidates.
No.
So whatever the political parties now bring out, it becomes a fait accompli.
But
if Peter Obi had not gone to another party now, we would have been left with these old men that no longer think for themselves, but others think for them.
But let me ask you this question, just by the way, and I'm sorry for interjecting, but I'd like to get your take. It's something that is out there.
I wanted us to,
it's something that is out there. It said that...
I just hope it's not my answer that is bringing that one.
It's fine. We always come around.
Yeah.
So there's the view that if Peter Obi and LP were not front runners in the 2023 election, the outcome would have been different, because when you had the votes of Peter Obi and Atiku together, they defeat the incumbent president. What do you say about that? Briefly, and then...
Yes, what you would have said is, if Atiku and PDP had done the right thing, we wouldn't have been talking about APC. It would have been history. But exactly what I told you, Obi did not want to continue with the old formula of not having internal democracy within a political party and pretending you can do it within Nigeria. PDP, in your own constitution, said you are committed to power shift and power rotation. Section 73C, your own constitution, which should be the ground norm in your party.
Yeah.
And then the presidential candidates from the north came out to say, of a truth, Atiku Abubakar himself said it, of a truth, it is the turn of the southeast. Bet. What do you mean by bet? When you yourself said the same thing, when Jonathan wanted to go the second time, he said no. And they said your only reason is not because you said it's corrupt, it's not because you said it's because it is the turn of the north.
Right.
So now that you yourself said it's the turn of the southeast, then it's a region that has been loyal to you all through their lives. Then you now say, no, they are not qualifying. So why am I saying this? What I'm saying is that if there was internal democracy in the party,
in PDP, that wouldn't have happened.
They would have said, no, this is the position of the law.
Let's now finish the point.
Yes, so the point is that Obi did the right thing. As a matter of fact, he now helped PDP to obey their constitution. Yes,
they didn't obey it,
and that is why they failed.
Yeah. Anyway, let's
and they are still failing.
Yeah,
they are not even able to reconcile.
Well, I mean,
the leadership of their party.
Yeah, I think that if you look at, now that we're talking about internal democracy, if you look at the three major parties, even your party, LP, still had a problem with Abure.
Absolutely, and that's why we are battling.
Yeah, PDP has a problem with their chairman.
Absolutely.
APC now has a problem. So there is
APC
something.
has always had a problem.
So there's something.
From 2016, I don't talk without facts.
Right.
From 2018 till date, APC had more than about 5 national chairmen. I will name them so that you don't say.
Is it up to 5? Let's start.
John Odigie.
Yeah, that was in 2018.
Adams Oshomo.
And then Adams. Yeah.
Bunu.
Oh, well, okay, if you can't Bunu.
No, why won't you? It cannot exist in
So you're right. So it's 5.
Adamu.
Oh,
then
think of it. That's quite an embarrassment.
Good. What's average? Is it average up to 3 years?
Wow.
So a ruling party that is showing such
in the same time,
an incredibly. Let me tell you,
this
government is competing with itself. If you check the trajectory of this government, you can only compare its failure with its abject failure. Can you imagine? We are saying that CBN is doing well. Not because they have even returned Naira to what they met. But at least they are going from their 2,000 to a Naira to 1,300 to... So you are comparing their failure with their abject failure.
And that point is made. Let me ask you, and these are interesting points that you're actually bringing up in your discussion. So do you think, again, it's out there. Quite a few people think that APC got a second chance in 2023, whatever it is.
Yes, you know that I think that you did not.
Exactly.
Yes,
Got a second chance.
And I'm suspecting you. When you're saying, as an actor, I cannot admit, whatever it is,
No, well, I'm just saying, but it's there. But
because it is real.
And that's the point. The view is there.
I'm not trying to cut you in.
Okay.
If you have seen polling unit by polling unit result from INEC as to that presidential election in all the polling units as required by law, Section 62 of the Electoral Act, tell me. Because what INEC gave to us, which we took to court, 18,018 polling units were blurred, mutilated, unreadable. Some having pictures of men and women. So if you have seen, let me know. Because in mathematics, when you arrive at an answer without a formula, they will say you stole it. And then by 4:30 a.m., a commission went in and announced the result.
Okay. Anyway, so let's come back to our discussion. And I wanted to put a question to you before we conclude. Now, I think that Nigeria's, the abject poverty that is going on in our country, worsened by the removal of subsidy and some of the policies. And by the way, I think subsidy has to be removed. And I'm sure, even Mr. Peter yourself, that ought to be removed.
Good.
I'm saying that in terms of,
including me.
Yeah, we all think so. But my point is that, so it has worsened the problem of poverty.
Yes.
I am afraid that this problem of poverty and the hardship in the land is coming close to a situation where people will just look at how you are dressed, and then they say you are part of them. See, some of the arguments that we even have at the level of political elite, it's not impacting on them. I mean, they won't see, two elites and say, okay, well, that one is APC, that one is LP, that one is PDP. It is getting to the point where people might begin to say, is one of them because he drives a car or he looks good. So my question is, what will it take the political elite of Nigeria to avert what is clearly a danger to their own existence with the kind of hardship and the almost intolerable poverty that is festering in the country? What's your take, Ken?
Just take them, the three things we have been shouting on. Character, competence, capacity. Compassion, you drive it further. Then creativity, commitment, consistency. Then if you drive it further, dedication, determination, and discipline. These things are there. They are easy. Why? All this inordinate acquisition of wealth that makes no meaning for you, but will save the life of another. Why are you acquiring those things? Money is what money can buy. As long as you have money, which you can use to buy nothing, it is useless for life. You know one thing, like I said, lack of knowledge. So my people perish for lack of knowledge. The next thing the government should do is to proactively support Nigerian companies vis-a-vis the international companies who are naturally conspiring to ensure that the potentials of Nigerians are not brought to bear. Look at what happened in APC. So when they are telling you the foreign companies are giving you excuse because of Naira, this and that, they can't do this, it's not true. But when you allow them to enjoy the monopoly, then your people cannot come in to salvage the situation. They don't owe you patriotism. They owe their country. So if the government, through diplomacy, will ensure that Nigerian companies compete on international sphere, we will be able to at least get our own share of the world economy.
Okay, Ken, well made. Last question because of our time. it's a very simple question. So a lot of the damage that we have seen done to national life and development in our country has only been possible because of what is called elite collusion.
Absolutely.
When we were under military rule, people knew that military rule is an aberration.
Yes.
But when a soldier takes over power, he's able to get some elites to be ministers, to be his heads. They get business going. We all know that Nigeria ought to be great. We discuss, some of the ideas that ought to be in place. And then at times we see people doing the opposite. But you find that they find one elite or some elites that will work with them.
Yes.
How can we end elite collusion? Do you subscribe to the idea of an elite consensus where everybody, regardless of party affiliation, regardless of ethnicity, religion, where we can say that this is the minimum, regardless of whatever that this country should be able to do, this. Do you, and with Mr. Obi, support that kind of consensus so that we can terminate elite collusion in this country?
You see, another name for what you have just said is elite capture of the state. So you're absolutely correct. That is one of the things that Obi is saying. As a matter of fact, he calls it structure of criminality. That's what he said. This structure must be dismantled. It is pure collusion. You can see, even when this government came to power, you can see some people who said, even if they are given 30 years, they will not do anything. And before a week or two, they're already telling you that they are the best thing that is happening. That is part of that collusion you're talking about. There should be an irreducible minimum, and I agree. But that can only be possible if you have internal democracy in political parties. Because whoever the political party trump up to you, you don't have any choice.
But I think it goes beyond political parties because
I want to move into.
I want you to think of other leaders now outside of politics. We have leaders in business. We have leaders in religion.
Good.
We have leaders in academic.
Yes.
Who also have a voice.
The problem is
and who are often silent.
No, you wouldn't blame them. They didn't tell you they are politicians.
But can we leave politics to politicians?
If you don't leave politics to politicians, then do you leave biology to
but politics is
to physicians?
Well, you don't really, because
what I'm saying,
we are all affected.
Good. What I'm saying is this: no matter how much you shout, Nigerians are shouting. That's why even in heaven, they will ask who will go for us. So my advice is that they all should not look at themselves as not being politicians. In democracy, everybody should be in politics.
That's the point. That's my point.
Everybody should be in politics.
Some people just have strong voices.
Good.
That when they speak, people listen.
Must be in politics. That's democracy. The government of the people, by the people, for the people. So everybody should be in politics. But not everybody should be in power, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But everybody should be in politics. But you can only blame them if you brought out qualified people and then you're saying they made a wrong choice. But even if they make the right choice and their votes don't count, that is why. Good. Now, let me come in to narrow in on that issue of the people.
Okay, then let's conclude.
The people must know one thing. The only democracy that can endure is the one that is brought by them. They should never trust military intervention to give them democracy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a summary of it. Why I am scared of military intervention. When the military come in, they suspend parts of the constitution. They rule by decree. And they suspend the courts. They out the jurisdiction of the court. And they establish tribunals. And when they make a decree, their tribunal will try the people. And you will not have a right to appeal in the regular court. They will tell you appeal to the Provisional Ruling Council. And the Provisional Ruling Council takes the final order. And in these three you have just done, only one man is the head of all of them. And a decree is simply the words and the orders of the head of state put in writing. So it's the most dangerous thing on earth. You don't have freedom at all. So the military coming in, they don't have democracy themselves. So they will never give you democracy.
They are command and control.
So the people must know that we have reached the end of the tunnel. Military intervention is not going to be the solution. Absolutely. They must rise up.
Absolutely.
And fulfill their dream of a new Nigeria by taking over this country, occupying it democratically. They can do it.
This is a conversation that we have to continue. And I agree with you entirely, and I must say that we stand strongly and robustly against military intervention. We want the Nigerian people themselves to insist upon the political elite to do what is right.
That is what will endure.
We are here, to ensure that happens, properly, decently, without trouble. That's why we will not give up. This is our country. We have nowhere else to go. And we want other Nigerians to be aware of the potency of their power to make things happen.